Welcome to Return to Athens, this week at the President's desk. The fast and furious sport of handball. And how Iraq is getting back on the map. All that and more as we return to Athens. Firstly, the Athens Organising Committee are determined that their games will not be disrupted by any form of terrorist act or any other action that will threaten public security. So much so, they've enlisted foreign assistance and intelligence on terrorist activity, as well as training and equipping the Greek Defence Force to deal with any insurgents. Greece's Defence Department has stated that a terrorist attack organised from outside the country would be the main threat to the safety of the Athens Olympics. Outlining wide-ranging plans, the Defence Minister, Yanis Papantoniou, detailed a special 200-strong squad formed to deal with any chemical, biological or nuclear attack during the Olympics, which begin on August 13. The new unit recently displayed some of the training exercises held in and around Athens. The exercises set up a whole range of possible attacks, such as chemical, biological or nuclear during the Games. Greek security forces claim underground railway staff will regularly check for nuclear radiation and there would be gas masks on trains for passenger use. A hospital at a US military base in Greece is also preparing to accept any victims of an attack. NATO countries and the United States are among a long list of nations contributing to the defence of the Games. Greece is spending €650 million to protect the world's largest sporting event and mobilising more than 50,000 people. That's 3 times the number used at the last Games in Sydney. The security budget has grown dramatically since terrorist attacks in the United States, as well as in Bali and in Jakarta, Indonesia.
Greece is generally not within the network of terrorist threats, does not belong to that particular network, but of course, because of the Olympic Games, we may eventually become a target, so we shall try to protect ourselves mainly and principally from external threats.
The most horrific form of action by a terrorist cell would be the use of biological or chemical weapons.
Military hospitals have created special cells and special departments so as to be able to provide all sorts of medical assistance to anybody who might eventually be hurt from a biological or chemical attack. Moreover, we have created a special force of about 200 men and women, specially trained and equipped to address this type of attack if and when it occurs.
I believe that the Greek government has done everything that was humanly possible, together with other governments, to protect the Games. So we are very pleased by the level of the preparations, but no one can guarantee 100% security, of course.
Moreover, these exercises are only the beginning. The military and essential services will continue to train right up until the opening ceremony. Perhaps while watching our previous story, you could be forgiven for thinking that the Olympic City is to be turned into a no-go zone and that touring the city or getting to a venue would be a nightmare. However, the good news is that will not be the case.
We're doing whatever is humanly possible to provide the world with safe and secure games, that it will not be military games, but on the other hand, everybody, from the sports people, from the athletes, from the media people, from the spectators, from the Olympic family, will feel secured and happy in celebrating these unique games in Athens.
With every effort made to be vigilant, what will it be like to arrive in the Olympic City and then get around? The first port of call for many of us will be landing at the recently constructed El Venizelos International Airport, named after a famous Greek Prime Minister. To any traveller getting off a long flight, completing their disembarkation with ease leaves a lasting impression. Getting their visit off on the wrong foot could mean that the Olympic visitor may leave Athens dissatisfied. Consequently, everything is being done to make the airport a showcase and a legacy for Greece, promising to be Europe's new southern gateway to the world. Designed to accommodate 16 million passengers per year, the influx of athletes, officials and spectators over the period of the Games seemingly no problem. The large departure area designed to handle massive amounts of passenger check-in, something that the airport expects at the conclusion of the Games, with everyone wishing to return home the day after the closing ceremony. Don't forget a souvenir. The airport has an Olympic Games store with licensed products bearing the emblems of Athens 2004. The construction of the airport terminal and runways was one of the greatest infrastructure works ever constructed or implemented in Greek history. Now that you've cleared customs and immigration, next challenge, getting to your accommodation. There are several modes of transport to choose. Most popular is taking the bus. Destinations clearly displayed in both English and Greek. The existing network of buses and trolley buses, which covers adequately the entire metropolis, will be enhanced by the operation of new dedicated Olympic bus lines. If you wish a more personal but expensive way around Athens, there's no shortage of taxis. Most are the safe and reliable Mercedes-Benz sedan, all fitted with compulsory seatbelts. And if the driver isn't sure where you're off to, don't worry, most are also fitted with satellite navigation devices. Punch in the address and the computer displays the best route. So once you've arrived and settled, you can't miss taking in the sights of Athens. Athens is a great city with 5 million people, half the country's population, living along its modern boulevards and highways, as well as its smaller suburban tree-lined streets. And while earlier in the program we discussed how the organising committee is dealing with security, there should be no disruption to life on the streets. Taking a stroll along any of the streets in the Plaka district with the famous Acropolis in the background is a pastime enjoyed by Athenians for centuries. One, if you're visiting for the Games, you should indulge in. Once you've walked the streets and simply enjoyed the contrast that the city has on offer, take your time to sit and enjoy a meal at any of the abundance of local restaurants, or as they're known, tavernas. Eating out in Greece is popular, and most tavernas cater for the al fresco diner, as during summer the city has balmy nights, perfect for a meal outdoors. So, what to eat? Well, you shouldn't leave the city and be able to say that you didn't sample any of the dishes made from either the fantastic array of local seafood or have a souvlaki. Not heard of souvlaki? It's a traditional dish made by rolling up grilled meat, usually lamb or chicken, in a flatbread. You add tomato, onion and salad greens, then top with a sauce made from yoghurt, cucumber and garlic. Simply delicious. Dining in Greece is considered a pastime, so don't expect to eat and run. The evening meal in Greece can often be had around 9 p.m, with locals again taking a leisurely stroll home to work off those extra kilojoules. An update on Olympic lead-up events with the European Handball Championships, the host nation Slovenia facing Germany for the title. Slovenia would open the scoring, but Germany scored 7 of the next 9 goals to go up 8-4. At half-time, the margin was 16-10. In the second half, though, the crowd leapt to their feet as Slovenia fought back, Vid Kevtichnik scoring to cut the lead to just 3. That simply inspired Germany to lift their game. Florian Koman on his way to a 9-goal haul, the score 23-18 to Germany. In addition, to add to the local woes, Daniel Stefan chipped in with 8 goals for Germany, who went on to clinch their first European handball title 30-25. Slovenia's players would have to be content with silver medals, but by reaching the tournament final, both sides now qualify for the Games. Handball will take place at 2 separate sports venues. The preliminary games from the 14th to the 24th of August at the Sports Pavilion, which is within the Faliro Coastal Zone Olympic Complex. The finals take place at the indoor arena of the Hellenico Olympic Complex over the final 4 competition days. It should be simple. Throw a large rubber ball through a suspended hoop. Despite this simple explanation of basketball, to play at the elite level takes years of training, with natural height and quick reflexes being a distinct advantage. In Olympic competition, each team is made up of 12 players. During the game, there are 5 players on the court for each side, with the 7 others used as substitutes on the bench. The substitute's role is to act as a replacement if a player is not performing, is injured, or simply to allow the coach to switch game tactics by adding players with different skills to the match. To add a sub into the game, there must be a break in play. Each team aims to win by having the highest number of points. To score points, the teams try to shoot the ball through the hoop defended by the opposing team. Both men and women play the sport of basketball, with 24 teams competing, 12 men's and 12 women's. The game is played in 2 20-minute halves, unlike the professional game, which is played in quarters. The sport does not allow for a drawn game at full time. If scores are tied, the game goes into overtime, with 5 minutes added to the clock until a result is reached. Scoring a basket awards different points values, depending on where and when the ball landed in the hoop. You can score either a 1, 2 or 3-pointer, depending on the situation surrounding the goal. 1 point is awarded for each penalty shot, up to a maximum of 2. 2 points awarded for any baskets that are made from inside a specific semicircular zone under the net. And 3 points are awarded for a shot that goes through the hoop from anywhere outside the arc. It's these 3-point shots that are the real thrill to any basketball fanatic, and any team that consistently hits these should be assured of a place on the podium.
Here's Iverson for 3. Allen.
So who will be atop that podium and hold up a gold medal? Our medal predictor can't go past the country where the game originated, the USA for the gold. For silver, he predicts the 2000 bronze medalist Lithuania to go one better. The bronze medal match should see the host nation edge out either Australia or Brazil. Basketball lasts 15 days, from the 14th to the 28th of August. The preliminary rounds held at the indoor arena of the Hellenico Olympic Complex. The quarter, semi and gold medal matches are held on the 4 final game days at the Olympic Indoor Hall within the Athens Olympic Sports Complex. The Olympic Museum in Lausanne was the venue for a one-day media conference set up by the World Anti-Doping Agency, or WADA. Guest of honour was head of the International Olympic Committee, Jacques Roger, who welcomed the decision by football's governing body, FIFA, to sign up to WADA's anti-doping code.
2004, the beginning of the games in Athens.
The timing of the accord between FIFA and WADA may be no coincidence. There was a slim chance that football could be ejected from the games if FIFA didn't come up with a formula to conform.
Well, FIFA, and that includes, in a sense, UEFA, was part of the unanimous decision in Copenhagen to accept the World Anti-Doping Code as the basis for the fight against drugs in sport. So I think that they're already convinced that this is necessary, and I'm convinced that at their Centennial Congress in May, they will adopt the code.
For instance, Russian Yegor Titov tested positive for the banned substance bromantin after a Euro 2004 playoff game against Wales, but played in the match 4 days later that guaranteed Russia's qualification for the finals. Wales want the result overturned. Pound thinks individuals should not affect an entire team.
One of the things I've learned from being in North America is not to interfere in European football. I think FIFA or whatever is the appropriate body will decide when and where its events should be held. And I don't think that that's likely to be influenced by a single doping case here and there.
In addition, men's tennis was thrown into turmoil when it became clear that British number 2 Greg Rosetsky had failed a nandrolone test. Rosetsky claims the result was due to dietary supplements handed out by the ATP.
We are wanting to ensure that there are absolutely proper tests in place on both of the tours. That's the WTA as well as the ATP. We have some liaison with those tours, and we hope that that will be in place because really there need to be more tests of the women. The ITF, on the other hand, which has control over the Grand Slams and the Davis and Fed Cups, has a good program in place, and we were there to observe the conduct of their program at the Davis Cup final. So we're confident that the tests are being conducted, and we're confident that the results are appropriate. We're just a bit concerned that the nandrolone cases have come to the fore, and that's an area which we want to have remedied and resolved as quickly as possible.
WADA hoping every sport will conform to its principles so that there is fairness across the board.
Please join me.
Track superstar Marion Jones returned to a sport also badly damaged by revelations of the use of designer drug THG. While not accused of taking performance-enhancing drugs, she was happy to talk about the controversy of steroid use dogging athletics.
It's nice to finally, have an open platform to state my opinion, and most everybody knows that I'm for a drug-free sport, that I always have been and I always will be. And of course, I can't stand here and talk about details of the case, but that's my position. I've never taken a performance-enhancing drug, and I never will.
Jones caught up in investigations of the nutritional supplements lab Belco. Jones' ex-husband, shot putter CJ Hunter, received supplements from Belco.
I think that the necessary steps are being taken to make sure that we all compete in a drug-free sport, and the general public needs to recognize that and see the great performances as they are.
Belco remains under investigation by federal prosecutors and anti-doping agencies in their drive to crack down on the newly discovered designer steroid drug THG. A new Iraqi Olympic Committee has been elected, the first step towards allowing Iraqi athletes to compete at the Games. However, the 30 sports officials who cast ballots failed to elect a woman to the executive board, as is strongly encouraged under IOC rules. The new committee's president is Ahmed Al-Samari, a star athlete who defected from Iraq while attending a meeting in Geneva 20 years ago. Al-Samari promised not to forget the painful past when Iraq's sports program was marred by allegations of torture and abuse, and not let what happened be repeated.
For us, having had the elections today is a major step for the normalization of the situation of sports in Iraq, and for sure for the Olympism. I guess with this decision, the IOC is going to take in consideration the new situation and the executive board probably will lift the suspension to the Iraqi NOC next month in Athens, and because of this the IOC will be absolutely ready to reintegrate the Iraqi Olympic structure in the Olympic family.
A number of Iraqi athletes have already been identified as being able to qualify for the Olympics, mainly in athletics, swimming, boxing, taekwondo, weightlifting and wrestling. If your sport is wrestling, then you have 8 days of the competition to see the world's best battle it out on the mat. If you're thinking of seeing whether or not the Iraqis qualify for a chance at a medal, tickets range from €15 for basic seating to just €60 for an A-class seat. And more good news for Team Iraq. US Civil Administrator Paul Bremer has received the newly elected Iraqi National Olympic Committee to announce a new athletic training partnership between the United States and Iraq. Bremer said during a ceremony in Baghdad that the recent election of the new president of Iraq's National Olympic Committee was more than a sporting event. The catch cry is, Iraq is back, helping to bond the Iraqi athletes and is another step along the path of rebuilding a country devastated by a brutal totalitarian regime.
Iraq is back.
Iraq
is rejoining the community of nations, this time as a member of the Olympic Games.
Bremer announced the United States would invite Iraq's national wrestling team for training in Colorado Springs, a huge boost to a team used to training in dilapidated surroundings. Ahmed al-Samari, the recently elected Iraqi Olympic Committee president, expressed confidence that the situation for his country's Olympic teams is definitely on the improve. So as we creep ever closer to August, remember to keep watching Return to Athens as we bring you the latest in the behind-the-scenes news and views in the lead-up to Athens 2004.